John Baskerville has been with Swords to Plowshares, an organization that works specifically with veterans, for the past 12 years. He started his tenure at Swords helping vets secure much-needed employment services. He eventually moved into the field of providing mental health and social services, which includes housing stabilization, substance abuse counseling, and linkages both to the city, county, and VA-sponsored mental health services. He's a strong advocate for veterans. He has served on numerous committees and panels and has appeared on 60 Minutes as well as on local radio. He recently assumed the position of the Director of Health and Social Services Unit. The question for John Baskerville is, your services to veterans are comprehensive, but what problems do you frequently see that remain unaddressed by the community?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for allowing me to sit on this panel. I was talking to Dr. DeVore before we got up there, and I said, why don't you say a little bit of prayer? And I figured that would let him get his stuff on, because I was really afraid he was going to break out the handkerchief, because if he broke out the handkerchief, I mean, he's a black minister. When he broke out the handkerchief, we're going to be here all day long, you know? That's my man, that's my brother. I'm going to go backward just a little bit. I started out and came to California from Boston, Massachusetts. Many years ago, I was an air traffic controller. I'm a man of passions, and I was very proud of that position I had. It's actually the youngest air traffic controller, journeyman controller in the country, working in an environment where it was just me. And I started having problems, and aside from the fact that I lost an eye doing a skirmish and tried to do that job with one eye, the thing that I look back on in retrospect, there was nobody for me to talk to. There was nobody for me to tell the problems that I was having. There was nobody for me in a facility of 550 people. Nobody looked like me that I can tell them that I felt that I was a victim of racism, that I was having problems with drugs, that I was having trouble with alcohol, that I was having trouble learning how to grow up to be a man because I was very, very young. I eventually lost that job due to this eye injury and went through a lot of the things that a lot of people go through. I ended up matriculating down to Martha's Vineyard down in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where I got clean. Air traffic control was my passion. I've always been a man of passions. And I remember when I got clean, I had a person say to me, well, don't make any major decisions in the first year, because, you know, when I found out I was last, I said, oh God, you know, I'm like a racehorse at the gate. I want to go. You know, I found out I'm last. They said, don't make any major decisions in the first year. And I said, the first decision I'm going to make, if I make it through this first year recovery, I want to do theater. That's why I thank the lady that did the theater, because theater is one of my passions. And as I was down there, show how God works sometime, on the very 365th day of my recovery, a lady walked up to me and said, I'm doing a play. I need a black person. Would you like to be in it? Tell me there's not a God. Now, I don't know if anybody saw the movie Jaws, but in the very first scene of Jaws, when the very first person gets eaten up by the big shark, the lady with the big floppy hat, her name is Lee Fierro. And what she actually walked up to me and says, you're a black man. And I says, okay, you know. The play did not work out, but I went on to do about half a dozen plays with Lee, and I always enjoyed that part of my life. I've always had to have a passion. I came to California, not sure exactly what I wanted to do, and I ended up at Swords, and there I found my passion, and my passion is veterans. And before I go on, are there any people in the audience here who have served in the military? Could they please raise their hand? Could you please give them a round of applause? It's for you that I exist. And I think that Terry and Frank and Dr. DeVore can understand when I say this. People say to me, Johnny, you always seem like you're upset. Well, I'm not upset. I'm just passionate. You say, yeah, Johnny, but you went into that meeting and you ate them alive, you know? And I said, well, maybe I am a little bit angry. You know, I'm angry because of those stories I hear. I'm angry because of the stories I hear of our aging veteran population, Vietnam veteran, who have served in combat and who, as a consequence of serving in combat, whose lives have just been a mess. I'm angry because of what's called McNamara's 100,000, when they lowered the criteria for entering the military, and we had all these young men who had mild to moderate mental health problems, who had developmental disabilities, who they sent over to Vietnam and just served as fodder. Many of them are the 55,000 who are on the wall in Washington, D.C. Do you realize that we have had more Vietnam veterans commit suicide than have died in Vietnam? That's why I'm angry, and that's why I'm pissed off.
Yes.
We see a lot of veterans at Swords to Plowshares. Obviously, we have a continuum of services within our facility. My unit, which provides health and social services, has a unique relationship that's unique in the whole country. My unit is funded by the Department of Public Health, now Community Behavioral Health Services, to provide outpatient mental health peer-supported services for veterans. What we do is we do community stabilization, and we try to reduce the impact of veterans on the mental health system and the hospital system in San Francisco. That's one of our missions, is we try to direct veterans to the VA system of care. We provide housing and stabilization, counseling, you name it, we do it. We consider ourselves gunslingers. If there's a way to solve the problem, we attempt to solve the problem. Excuse me. I've done this a lot, but even when I do it, my voice shakes and I get nervous. But somebody just said that that's just God shaking the truth out of you, so.
It's all right.